There once was a goat who liked to eat carrots. And his favorite thing was spicy carrots.
Oh, that's hard.
That is hard.
So much easier.
Oh, that's true. Hey, everybody. Welcome to Cultural Disruption.
We are here to disrupt your culture.
What are we going to talk about today, Blake?
Well, today we're going to talk about how culture is leadership.
I love that, right? Wow. Okay, so there's lots of questions that people have about, like, what is culture? And I don't understand it, and it's so hard to understand.
You know, funny, it's actually the same dang thing.
It's the same frickin' thing as leadership. Because as you go and talk to companies about their culture, inevitably, the employees say, well, our problem is with leadership.
Yep.
And then you start focusing on the leadership team. So, it's pretty much the same thing. Kind of married.
Did you hear that little squeak?
I did. I liked it.
Squeak.
I definitely liked it.
So we shared an article recently called "Employees Don't Respect a Cool Boss."
Yeah.
Right? And there's a lot of really cool things that
good article.
Great article, and it actually talks about several things that people aren't looking for. The one thing that they do say to start off with is you actually have to establish your boundaries with your team, right?
Yeah.
And I'll be honest, I worked with teenagers for a really long time with past jobs, and one of the things that's what they had a really hard time with. And they always wanted like these leadership positions, but they had a really hard time separating, look, I'm your friend and your manager. They couldn't be both, right? It was hard for them to kind of pick and choose what they wanted.
And you know what? That blurs the line on like playing favorites.
Yeah.
Because if we call that politicking, right? So like, I don't want to play office politics. It's because I have to be their favorite in order to advance anywhere. And frequently, as we've talked to employees at companies that have had a bad culture, they've said, well, I'm not on their good side, so I'm never going to go anywhere. So like playing favorites, people never want to be playing favorites.
It shouldn't be a good old boys club.
Yeah, right. Never.
Right. And we run into that a lot. You have to support your employees to meet their goals. And a lot of times, if you have the relationship with them where you're the cool boss, you don't want to rock that boat and say, hey, look, you're going to be accountable for something, right? Yeah. And so a lot of times, as the cool boss, people don't feel like they're being challenged. People don't feel like there's any accountability whatsoever. So we have to encourage them as a boss. Yes, you can be cordial, you can be genuine and friendly, but you have to encourage them and hold some accountability to meet their goals.
Yeah, so there's a difference between being cool and being respected. And there's some interesting boundaries that I think we should kind of explore, the difference of being cool and professional, right, and respected, because being cool is maybe a good thing at times, because like you want to connect with people, but you want to be respected by being connected with them as well. And like culture, in my opinion, is sexy and cool.
Yeah. Look at Robert Downey Jr.
Oh,
he's the culture of Iron Man, and he's really cool.
And sexy.
I respect him. No, you're right. Absolutely, culture can be cool and sexy.
So, like, good leaders can be cool because a good culture can be cool. But if culture and leadership is the same thing, then there can be coolness. Ooh, that was that was a train to follow right there.
But I got the chills because it was really deep and neat. It was like, never mind. Anyway, it was really good. You did good with that one. So, one of the things I like to point out is, obviously, we've talked about how culture can be cool and sexy, right? Yeah. Your culture can also be a perk. If you are looking for a job, one of the things that you look for now. Put yourself in a candidate's shoes, right? Yeah. They walk into your building. It's a cool building, right? And they can see the ping pong tables. Maybe you got some foosball tables. There's a Coke machine in there. People going to get free soda. That's nice. But overall, when people leave your company, they should be looking at your company as the place to work. Yeah. They should be looking at the company as the only place to work. Yeah. And so your culture, that's a big part of that is how you are as the boss, how you are as the leader, right? And if they can see that you're someone who's going to hold them accountable, but also give them respect in return, and also challenge them to grow and actually think and be creative, right? Yeah. If you can coach that person into becoming more than just what they are on a normal day at a normal job, then that's going to be huge. Yeah. It can be part of that culture, and they can love that.
I love that. Okay, so the opposite of being a cool manager is what I would call as being a jerk. Yeah. I guess this is our vlog. We can say whatever we want.
Right? We could skip the formalities.
Yeah. So I have heard managers in the past say, like, we're here to do business. We're not here to make friends. And like, that's the epitome of the kind of a manager that you're not going to want to work for. Why? Because people want to be respected and they want to be valued for who they are. We've talked about beholding and getting to know people for who they are and what makes them tick. Well, if you're there to do business and not make friends, then you're not going to be able to have that.
That's a surefire way to have just constant turnover.
Yeah.
I'm going to constantly have people leaving because people feel threatened or they feel uncomfortable here. Like, I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've talked to people before and they said, I left because of my boss.
Yeah.
My boss didn't listen to me or they scared me. I was intimidated, right? We've all been there before.
Yeah.
And we tend to typically want to get out. Now, we don't have to go on double dates together.
Yeah, right. Like, being a friend is not like a forced friendship. Like, I remember when I was going to junior high and the neighbor behind me came and he said, I need you to be friends with this kid who was kind of different. I was like, I don't want to be friends with him. And like, you don't have to be like that kind of friend. So you don't have to go on double dates.
Yeah, but you do have to care for the people that you work for.
Totally.
And the people who work for you. There has to be that. And again, you brought this up, that beholding, right? I have to see people for who they are. And the kind of benefit that they bring to the company. Everybody gives something. Or they should be allowed to give something. Yeah. And I think that's what happens a lot of times is these managers get so big-headed and want to just control the situation the entire time.
Now, we've talked about perks in the past and some unique benefits that are going on in the Silicon Slopes. But the reality is, however good your perks and benefits are, those managers can absolutely ruin what you experience from those perks. Yeah. I mean, it's just like if you want unlimited paid time off and you have that, but every time you take time off, your manager like guilt trips you and why are you taking that off? Give me the specifics. What are you doing? You know this is really hurting the team. When you're like, this is the third time I've taken a day off.
Like since I've started here 3 years ago.
Yeah, right. And so like managers can definitely ruin that experience for you. And that's the power that a leader has in impacting the culture.
Yeah, and they have the ability to create your overall idea of the company.
Yeah,
right. They can create this vision, and really, what I think what you want to do is you want to help your team, your people, see the company the way that you do.
Yeah.
Right, and in that it means you are building relationships in appropriate ways. Right, you're building relationships with your team, and you're actually helping them to see that you care for the company. Right, why do you work where you do? Mm-hmm. Why are you passionate about the things that you're passionate about? That typically has to do with you seeing this vision, right, or seeing where this company wants to go. But if you can't help your team to see that as part of the culture, if you don't have that open look, let's have this beholding conversation. If we can't do that with our teams, then what kind of manager really are we?
Yeah, we're
just one of those everyday run-of-the-mill. I'm the boss. You're the employee. You're going to listen to what I say. And do what I do.
So this is an interesting concept because the way you see the company is through the exact same lens you see your manager. You might work for a phenomenal company, like best place to work in all of the world. But if your manager is just awful and hard to work with, you're going to leave.
It's the tone setter.
Yeah, it's the tone setter because you're only going to see the company through the lens you see your manager. Now, that's a lot of pressure for you managers out there, but that's why leadership is culture. Because if you want to impact a culture and help people feel more engaged and involved, you got to change your leadership style, and you've got to connect with people and
it might be awkward and uncomfortable at first, right? Because I think we're all conditioned to lead a certain way, and I can look back at times when I had managers that were great, but maybe there were things that shaped the way that I think about things and do things because it was the way that they did it. So It might be breaking habits. It might be breaking the way that you've done things forever, but there's nothing wrong with change.
And maybe you've even experienced that change in a culture where it iterates all the time. And why does it iterate? Because you keep getting new managers. Yeah. And so there are subcultures that are created that are departmentally, and as you get new managers and that turnover, then there's new cultures that are introduced. Mm-hmm. And so like what impacts culture more than anything?
Leaders.
The leaders. Okay, we'll go out there, leaders. Focus on your people and make a great culture by the way you lead them.
Yeah. Once I heard a song that says, "Go, my son, go and climb a ladder." You go climb that ladder and you show them how to climb that ladder. But like in a nice, happy, butterfly way.
Yeah.
Don't forget to subscribe.